Hello everybody. This is the second episode of the GP strategy series, and the first one was about what happens before paper one, and this one will be about what you do during the paper. So yeah, that is what I'm going to cover today. And I'm particularly excited about this one, and I feel like I should accord this the most importance because as even if you study really hard like before the paper, or even if you learn from what you did the last time, if you screw it up during the paper, well, your marks are screwed. Yeah, that's the thing. Like, all of the stuff that you've done over the 2 years is culminating in like this 3 hours of papers that you do. It's just mind blowing. so So once again, I shall reiterate that in this case, especially for GP, I think strategies might triumph over studying, and especially if your studying methods are a bit sketchy, your strategy, someone who has better strategies than you might end up doing better in the paper, even if they don't study as much. So of course, I would still suggest that you study for the paper. Don't just go there super unprepared. That is not a good strategy. See, even strategy involves studying. Oh well. Anyway, so let's get back to the subject matter. So on that day, paper one is 1.5 hours, and I think that is more than enough time to write an essay. I mean, there might be some people who disagree with me because they write incredibly long essays for no reason. Or maybe because they just like writing long essays. And the thing is, I like to write a lot of things, of course, but that usually happens when I try to write stuff in French or something. When I'm not supposed to actually write more than 200 words, I end up writing more than 200 words. But in GP, I don't really write super long for what is expected lah. Like, I don't write longer than you would expect people to write. I generally would write about 3 pages long, I think, and I don't leave spaces. So I think that is a good length. Please don't write more than that unless you're really fast at writing or you want to have a hand cramp after the paper is over, which I'm pretty sure you don't because you need to do another paper, paper 2, of course. But anyways, I'm digressing from the main thing, and the main thing is that I'm gonna tell you what are the strategies that you need to use for the various steps from the start to the end of that 1.5 hours that you have in the hall or wherever you do your exam. Okay, so I think you will get a booklet or something in the actual A levels, but yeah, foolscap or booklet. That's probably what I'm more likely to say foolscap throughout this thing. But okay, anyway, so the first step, like once the teacher says starts, what do? You flip over that one piece of paper and then stare at the 12 questions and wonder, maybe giving me so many choices actually makes it harder for me. Or not actually. My opinion is that I actually like the fact that there are 12 questions because well, there are many different topics that you need to cover. And unlike in other situations, like for example, you have too many clothes to choose from or something, this is actually a good choice, like good place to use choice in a sense. It allows you to show your individuality and what you actually show your interest in that sense. Like, tell the examiner, oh look, this is the subject I like to write about. So anyway, that's not the most important part here. The important part is to choose one of the questions. You can't just stare at the 12 questions for 1.5 hours. Then you wouldn't have achieved anything for 1.5 hours. Oh, that would be sad. Okay. So in order to choose a question, of course, the first thing you can do is just go through the list of questions, and I'm pretty sure it is easier to find questions you definitely would not do than to find questions that you definitely would do. So you just cancel out all the questions that you would not do, and and then you probably would have halved your list, or maybe for some people who hate all the questions, you'll probably only have 3 questions left. But the thing is, you should do this a few times, and once you get 3 questions, you can start thinking seriously. Okay, so which question will I be able to do well in the sense? And generally, one of those 3 questions will be in your niche topic, I'm guessing, because especially if you've studied so much for a topic, you would assume that you know how to answer that question just by looking. For example, my niche maybe would be science, and therefore if I see a science question, I don't cancel it out. I keep it there, and then I try to use it in my top 3 questions. That is what you would expect me to do, right? But it doesn't happen that way all the time, because there are sometimes certain science questions. I mean, there are definitely science questions, but they can still be irky, or make me not want to do the question at all, because there can be certain aspects of the question that I may not have as much knowledge as, because science is quite a broad topic. There's stuff like technology, there's AI, there's it can go quite narrow, and sometimes narrow questions scare me, or not really scare me, like they deter me sometimes. That's possible, because I may not have as much knowledge in very specific areas of science. So likewise, even if you, for example, like to talk about the arts, and you may see a question, I don't know, there might be a question on photos in social media, like social media and arts or something like that, but you may not really, you're not very aware of the information on how artistic pieces are treated in social media, for that matter. Then you may not want to do the question. So don't just choose questions based on your niche topic. Also think properly whether you can actually answer the question. That is what that is what I would like to say. Of course, there are sometimes you do make the mistake of choosing a bad question, or at least bad for you in a sense, and then you don't answer it properly. That does happen sometimes, and you would want to avoid that in the A levels. So in the A levels, as much as you want to as much as you enjoy doing new things, and maybe there's this one part of the question that's really exciting and you really want to tackle it, sometimes you just cannot do it properly. So be aware of the risk and avoid some of those risks. Try to be a bit safe in the A levels. But if you are willing to sacrifice your grades in your other school exams, you can try doing that. I guess it is okay. Sometimes you may actually succeed in it, and then you can learn to search for such questions again, like the exact kind of nuance to it, and you can do that same question again. That's possible. So of course, another kind of risk is just seeing this question. Oh wow, this topic is my favorite. It's like the thing that really catches my eye. It may not be something that I studied a lot about, but it is a topic that I'm really passionate about, or something that makes me want to say my arguments right away, even if I may not have evidence for it, or or even if it seems like I may not have evidence for it at first. Oh yeah, so actually about the evidence, when you choose a question, please make sure that you actually have evidence for the question. Yeah. But anyway, let me return back to this. And I would like to tell you this really fun recount. I don't know how fun you find it, but I find it quite fun. And during the March exam in JC2, out of the 12, of course I probably prepared for the science topic or something, or maybe the arts or something. I don't remember what topic I prepared for. For some reason, I don't remember anything much about what I did during GP. I remember my PSLE as like story more than I remember what I wrote in my GP essay, which is really sad for some reason. But anyways, Okay, so there were 12 questions, and I was originally going to choose one of the questions that I was familiar with the topic, and the safe and easy question there. And then I saw this question that was about reducing, like making people eat less meat, which automatically got my attention, yes. And if you guys, of course, you probably don't know because this my identity is anonymous here, so but I am a vegetarian. So this question really got my attention, yes. And I immediately chose to do the question and I did it even though it could risk my marks, who knows. But I didn't do that. I didn't do badly on it, so at least it went well. So sometimes such risk might end well, sometimes they may not. Because, you know, of course, the whether you choose to take the risk depends on many things, and sometimes trying to choose that's something that's in your niche topic may not be a good thing either. I think there was one time I think there's a few examples where I did stuff in the science topic thinking that I would do it well, but I just ended up screwing them up anyway. And by do well, like do okay enough, I would say if I get above 30 and above, I would feel somewhat okay about it. But if it's below that, I would not be happy about it in a sense. So yeah, that's my general gauge on that. I'm not sure how many marks my A level essay got. I I would be quite curious to know, but no, doesn't matter. Anyways, so of course there's sometimes where choosing my niche topic help. Like for example, in my May exam, I chose science is man's best hope for creating a better world. How far would you agree? Of course, this is very science, and it also involves something about better world or something, and it's a bit of a nuance to it. So oh yeah, so about nuances, some questions have nuances and some don't. And if you're able to handle the nuance that you see in the question really well, and if you understand it fully, then you can choose to do the question. But if you're the kind of person who forgets about the nuance and just say stuff like on what you see at first glance, then don't choose nuanced questions. Choose the simple question. And actually, the one on eating less meat was a simple question. It did not have any nuance. It was straightforward, and I put in information or like stuff that I knew from since primary school. Never mind. Yeah, I I don't think I want to tell too much about that, but okay. Stuff that I knew for a long time because well, I just like knowing about weird things. Okay, so yeah, technically that's about the questions. So I would like to go through the A level example, and I mean not exactly I won't show you all the questions because I don't want to infringe copyright even if this is for educational purposes. But in the A levels, I will tell you maybe that one question that I chose, and that was consider the view that we do not take enough responsibility for our own well being. And yeah, I think that's the question I chose. I hope it's the right one. To be honest, I don't even remember, and I'm just basing this entirely off that one circle that I put on the 12. The fact that I cancelled out a bunch of other stuff. Yeah. Okay, so in the sense, how did I go about choosing that question? How come I didn't choose like I don't know science or something? Well, well-being is also something I could easily talk about because it's like health related. I can just talk about physical, mental, whatever well-being, and I do have certain examples in that sense. And about us taking responsibility, there are also other agents that I can talk about, like the government, the device, like the actual use, the fact that we have the device and things like that. And yeah, that I could come up with many points for that question, so I chose that question. And I think it is generally okay. It's not too over nuanced or hard to understand. Of course, the only thing we have to take note of is the responsibility, about us taking enough responsibility. You may take responsibility, but enough is important here. So yes, so now I will move on to planning. So with the question that you have in hand, there are certain aspects of the question that you would need to take note of before you start planning. And the first thing is you can start spamming your examples or whatever you really you must put on paper before you forget it. Yeah, you can start writing them down in pencil on that piece of paper with 12 questions on it, or you can use a foolscap paper if you need to be neat or something. Okay. And then and then you have to take note of the keywords, like the words that actually matter in the question, the thing that you need to answer to. And also words like enough, should, must. You get the point. I think your teacher would have told you about such words. So you must take note of all the nuances and also such words. And make sure that you understand the question fully. Don't go into it thinking like, oh, it's like this, but in reality it means something else. Don't misunderstand it. You must be 100% sure that you know what the question is asking for. Don't just be like 75% sure and then, okay, I think this is what it means, and then just accidentally write a essay about the wrong thing. That would not end well. So yeah, that's how maybe sometimes you choose your niche topic and then you screw up. I think that's just how it happens. But anyway, so planning, you don't need to do anything fancy. Don't write a page of stuff for your planning. And even though I've heard of many tactics and strategies that teachers have taught me, for me what works best is just writing down the points for and against, like the two sides. And by writing down, I mean literally just scribbling that, scribbling it on the paper, or if I want to tackle it in certain aspects like the government or something, I would write that down basically. So yeah, just quickly write down the gist of your argument. You can write it more articulately on your piece of foolscap later on. And yeah, apart from that, you write down all the examples that are related to these arguments, and then you choose which arguments you actually want to use, because sometimes you may write like 5 or 6 points, and then you may not need all of them because you don't have time to write 5 or 6 points. Generally I would suggest writing at least one counterpoint and at least 2 4 points. Yeah, so that would be the bare minimum: one counterpoint and 2 points for in your position, I mean. Yeah, so you can choose which points to use and choose what order you want to put them. And generally you would put the point that is against your opinion first. That's what I do all the time. So you put your against point first in your essay, and then after that you put your own points in. Of course, the part in GP is that it's not just about your for and against. It's about the conciliation, like you say something and then you have but still there's a bit of a rebuttal, that kind of thing. That may not be an entire point on its own, but it's still important to take note if you're going to actually rebut that point. And make sure you organize your essay before you even start. So just organize everything. And another thing that you need to take to decide in your planning stage is what you want to write for your introduction and maybe your conclusion. If you're intending to connect the two, then yeah. If not, your conclusion can be something you can just come up with it along the way. Yeah. So planning should not take more than 5 minutes. Choosing a question shouldn't take more than 5 minutes either. So after 10 minutes, you have like what 1 hour 20 minutes left, I think. And if you actually do take more than 5 minutes, don't panic. You still have a lot of time. As you just need to have like 1 hour for writing your essay. You can choose to take 30 minutes to plan if you don't care about checking your essay, I guess. That's your own choice, I guess. So for writing the essay, I don't think you need a lot of time to write it. I mean, if you're expected to write history essays in 1 hour. A GP essay is a no-brainer. You can do it quickly, quite quickly. You can do it in 45 minutes, 50 minutes max. I don't think you really need 1 hour to write it if you're writing it really fast. Or if you're writing it, if you don't want to write it really fast, then in that 1 hour you should also have a active process of thinking through what you are going to write next. Like for example, sometimes you'll suddenly have new ideas or new thoughts. That can happen. It happens to me all the time. I sometimes get a new example that I want to put in, or I sometimes feel like, oh, this thing doesn't suit this well and I don't want to put this point in. Or it could just be because I do not know how to work it into the paragraph. It just happens. And when that happens, there are two choices. You either put it in or you don't, and you choose to put it in based on whether it still retains the coherency of the paragraph, in the sense whether you can still manage to keep it flowing well. If you put an example in and it's super abrupt, or if you need to really insert it super way before, then don't think about it. Don't waste your time dealing with the example unless you have a lot of time after you finish writing your essay. And even then, it's gonna be hard to insert it in somewhere in the middle of your essay unless you want to rewrite your entire essay, which no, just no. Oh well. Anyways, so yeah, so if you do have like random ideas coming in the middle, don't blame yourself for not planning it well. You still would have planned it well, but the ideas may just sometimes appear at random timing. You shouldn't blame yourself for that. But you should be able to manage that random flow of ideas well, in the sense. So when you practice your essay writing, maybe you can keep these things in mind, and if you have random ideas that come into your mind, decide how you want to use them in your essay, or whether you even want to use them to begin with. Yeah. So yeah, I think apart from that, like, that should be the main gist of the essay. The part where you actually write the essay. So once you finish writing your essay, the one most important thing you should do is to check your essay. Check whether the length is correct. Check whether your writing looks legible. Of course, it's possible to make it a little bit more legible. Like for example, my writing is legible but quite messy. Like sometimes my A looks like a U. So if your writing is like that, go and fix those things after you finish with your essay. And also, if you feel like there's something you need to include, you can do so at this point of time. If you have any spelling mistakes, vocabulary change, or whatever you want to do it after you're done with the essay. And if you have like 10 minutes, you can just finish this very quickly. And if you checked it once and twice and you have still a lot of time, then just relax, I guess. Honestly, after a while, you just stop caring about checking it so many times. You get really bored. Yeah. And yeah, I hope this was useful. If you wanted me to talk about anything else about what you do during the paper, I can do so. You can ask me questions in the comment section below, or in my Reddit user. Like, you can message me in Reddit at the Reddit username that I'll be showing in the video here. Okay. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this just like I did, because the main part of the paper is quite important. And with that, I would like to say thank you, and next time we'll be seeing what happens after you get your paper back. Of course, this doesn't work for A levels, it works for everything else, I guess. So what do you take note of? Like, what corrections do you do, or do you need to do corrections, in the sense, or what stuff do you need to work on when you receive your paper back? No, that was terrible grammar. When you receive back your paper. So yeah, so thank you and bye.